Warning, mature content ahead. You are now entering the Atomic Nerd Alert. And now the end is near, and so we face the final curtain. What is going on, all of you dorkosaurs out there? Hi, how are ya? As the Jeffree Star would say.
Hi, how are ya?
Hi. It is I, your overlord of the dorks, Jordan, and I am here again with the ever-constructive Holly.
Hi, guys.
Yeah. So we got a lot going on for you today. It is the last episode of the Witcher saga from season 1.
Oh, sadness.
It's the last time we're here with the Witcher until next season. Next season.
Yep.
Oh.
Which I have noticed, IMDb, when I looked it up, it did say that season 2 would be coming out in 2020. We don't know for sure because of all of the pandemic going on. So
yeah, well,
it might be pushed back to 2021. We don't know. We'll kind of give you updates on that.
We'll take it with a grain of salt right now, especially, but I did notice at the end of the season when we rewatched it to do these, that there was the coming soon feature.
I noticed that too.
Witcher has been renewed, so we already know that it's been renewed for at least 2 more seasons.
Yeah.
I think they also got renewed for a 3rd season, because, Netflix is starting to say, yes, we want this, because...
yeah.
It's a pretty big series.
Well, yeah.
So we're going to dive into the episode. We're going to do it just a little bit different because these 2 episodes are pretty much one short story. So Holly's going to go into the synopsis for both. I'm going to do the TLDR, and then we're going to dive into the episode.
Yes.
Take it away, Earl!
Okay, so episode 7, which we're starting off with, that is called Before the Fall. So the Netflix synopsis on that is, with the continent at risk from Nilfgaard's rising power, Yennefer revisits her past, while Geralt reconsiders his obligation to the Law of Surprise. And then for episode 8, which is titled Much More, the Netflix synopsis for that is, a terrifying pack of foes lays Geralt low. Yennefer and her fellow mages prepare to fight back. A shaken Ciri depends on the kindness of a stranger.
It is known as the short story and the Sword of Destiny as something more. They decided to use the last line of the book for the last episode with much more. So I'll let you know a little bit about that. It starts off with a man named Yurga. He's hiding under a cart because he's being attacked by ghouls. They were originally 3 merchants. 2 of them died, and Yurga was the one that was left and asked Geralt to save him. Geralt was like, I don't care if you live or die, just get the hell out of here. And he's like, I will. He was like, I'll give you anything that you want. And so Geralt's like, well, fuck it. Give me the Law of Surprise. What you have at home, you don't know. I just need to make a Witcher. It's because he realized that at this time that Ciri was female, and it's mostly males that are brought into being Witchers, especially with the Trial of the Grasses. But we don't know this just yet because it goes back and forth and with time jumps in this story. So Yurga agrees. Geralt fights them and then gets bitten. The ghouls have like this toxic property in their bite that causes death instantly in humans. With Witchers, it's a little bit different since their heartbeat is slowed down about 4 times. So that slow heartbeat, if they have the right tonics and the right treatment, they'll survive pretty much almost anything. But ghouls are definitely toxic with their bites. It's like an instant death with like a snake. If you get bitten by a black mamba or a copperhead, where it's It's not that slow, but it's not that instantaneous, but it's like within 2 minutes or something. It's
I would
a
say
very painful death.
I would say they more resemble like a black mamba, because black mambas are more within 2 to 5 minutes you're dead.
Yeah. With Witchers, they can withstand all of that. Geralt gets bitten. Yurga's like, hey, thank you for saving me. And then Geralt collapses and he's like, oh, crap. Let's throw him up on my wagon and get him some help. So Geralt is going in and out of consciousness at this point. Okay. And Geralt's delirious, and he tells Yurga that he has the proper tonics. Look in my satchel on Roach. Grab it out of there. I need these. He takes like 2 different tonics. One is a hallucinogen that would help him stop feeling the pain and everything. So it's like a strong ass opioid. And the other one is something that'll help stop the coagulation of the blood and everything, to stop that from pulsating until they can get some help. Yurga is driving like a freaking madman to try to get him to the nearest town, to the nearest healer. And Geralt is coming in and out of consciousness with this. It cuts back and forth with different hallucinations with each chapter in the short story.
Okay.
So with the first hallucination, Geralt is having some time with Yen during Beltane, which is a Gaelic festival marking the beginning of May. It's marked halfway between spring and summer. So it's like it's a big celebration of bringing crop into light. They've already planted their seed. They're just giving out good times, good drinks, good company, and trying to get that crop to grow strong for when the harvest season comes. At this point, there is somebody that is kind of stalking them, but not really. Realizes that it is Yennefer. At this point, this is after Shard of Ice happened, so Yen left him and left Istrid. They just were given a note and was told, I can't be with either of you if you're gonna fight to the death. I'm not gonna be a kept woman. He meets up with Yennefer for the second time after that, and they start to talking, and it's really bittersweet. Because there's a lot of love still there. There's so much heartache and so much yearning, but they know that it's toxic and that there's no room and no use for having this relationship to continue, even though 3 jackdaws told them that they're made for one another, but nothing good will come of it. So Yen did the proper thing to let him be happy and let him go, but it never stopped for him. He never stopped loving her, and he hasn't fully come out and said it yet, but in his mind, where she can read his mind and everything, he said it 1,000 times. So they decide, hey, we're gonna do the do just for this. Yeah, it's really weird. They're like, we're just gonna do the do just for this night, but in the morning when daylight breaks, we have to go. We can't do this anymore, so this is our last hurrah sort of thing. This part of the story was also depicted in CD Projekt Red with the Wolvenstorm sung by Priscilla.
Oh.
Yeah, literally, if you read this section, just this one section of the short story, with Priscilla singing, you flee, my dream come in the morning, your scent berries tart, lilac sweet, dream of raven locks and twisted stormy, of violet eyes glistening as you weep. Just, that's literally, that feeling is how it was written in the story.
And I love how Maluka, when she sang that, oh.
Yeah, she did the Polish version.
Oh my God. She brought that song to life.
She did. I liked it better.
We love you, Maluka.
I honestly like that better, her version better than the English voice actor of Priscilla.
I agree.
I feel bad for saying that, but I do. I enjoy it much more than Priscilla.
I agree.
So that was his first hallucination, and at the end, Yen convinces Geralt to go to Sintra, saying, hey, you have this child surprise, why not just see her once, see what you think?
The whole you need to do this, you need to fulfill your destiny type of thing?
Yeah, pretty much it's you need to fulfill your destiny. You've already met her once. see how she's doing, just keep up with it because something's gonna go down. I can feel it on the wind. There's Nilfgaard is rallying their troops. They have a new leader, Emperor Emir. He's already slaughtering people. He usurped the throne in Nilfgaard, so you need to make sure that she's okay. So Geralt's like, all right, I'll go. Goes into the second hallucination. He wakes up just a little bit, and they talk about him finding a mousy hair girl. Goes back into his second hallucination at this point. It's when Geralt arrives in Sintra. So this is like in the episode 7.
Okay.
At this point. Geralt arrives in Sintra, where Calanthe and Mousesack don't want to give up Ciri at all. Calanthe announces that she doesn't want Ciri to go through the Trial of the Grasses, and if Geralt can guess who the child surprise is, she can have her. And she lines up a bunch of boys in a courtyard and says, "Finger which one it is." And like it's a lineup or something.
Point to which one it is.
Yeah, it's like a lineup and such. And Geralt's like, none of these are Ciri. None of these are my child surprise. And that really takes Calanthe on guard for a bit, but she's still rather friendly with him. She says, as a grandmother, I was looking up what the Trial of the Grasses entails, and I won't have Ciri subjected to the trial. This is Pavetta. It's the last thing I have of Pavetta. Because with the Trial of the Grasses, that's how Witchers are created.
Correct.
They're not born Witchers, they're created, they're mutated. Only 3 in 10 men, like young boys, survive, if that. It's 3 out of 10 survive with the vigorous training, and then out of those 3 that survive, they line all those guys up, and it's another 3 out of 10 survive the actual mutations with the injections and the herbs that they have to eat.
So kind of like in the Dragon Age series, how the Grey Wardens come to be.
Pretty much, it's exactly how the Grey Wardens are supposed to be.
Okay.
How they're derived and depicted, where they drink out of a chalice. But with this, they're strapped down to a table, which it looks like a butcher's table.
Ooh.
And they are and it's like really thick needles.
Ugh.
And it's not the most sanitary, and it pretty much boils them from the inside out. They're like 10 or 13 at this time when they start the vigorous training for the Trial of the Grasses, because they were picked up at 7.
Oh, no,
and
thank
then
you.
by the time they turn about 15 is when they're hand chosen to start the injections and start eating the herbs. They survive on like this moss type thing before they're able to get like food. They're starved completely and emaciated down to where they can get all these toxic herbs into their body without killing them. So it's like immunizations. If you've ever had allergy shots or something where it keeps giving you that same poison that you're allergic to, just to build up that immunity.
Oh, you know all about them allergy shots.
Oh yeah, I do 15 years on those. It's not fun.
No.
But it starts off with that. Calanthe is really pissed off, and she's like, I'm not letting Ciri go through all of that. This is the last piece of Pavetta I have. Geralt is completely against the Trial of the Grasses, and he said that he only wanted to see for himself if she's alive, if she's well. He doesn't want to meet her again. He'll watch her from afar, because he doesn't want to get her hopes up, thinking that Geralt's gonna take her away. Calanthe doesn't know that Geralt already met Ciri at this point, because they both Brokilon Forest and what happened with them in there. Mousesack's like, why don't you just take Ciri and go, because something's gonna happen. And he's like, I'm not gonna just uproot her life. Calanthe's like, well, maybe it was your obligation of destiny to renounce your child surprise, because Geralt's like, it's a girl, I don't want to take her away from her family, just keep her. If she decides to come, what have you, it doesn't matter. No sweat off my back. I'm not going to take her. It's not a place for it. Calanthe is all down for, after talking with him, how much love he has in his voice for this girl that he supposedly never met before. That she knows he has no ill intentions for her, and that he would raise her as a daughter and not as like a sexual object, like a lot of people thought that he was going to. Because if you have a young girl following you around, it's, especially with an old 70-year-old man, it's a little weird.
Yeah,
it's
especially
a little
in
weird.
those times.
Yeah, especially since she's like, at this point, she's like 12 or 13. So it's like when she's already about to start her period for the first time. She hasn't yet, but it's about that time where young girls are married off to men.
Yeah.
It's still creepy. It's ugh.
Yeah.
But because of that, she's all for it. If you want to come back, she'll be waiting. It's up to her if she wants to go or not, so she shouldn't be waiting too long. Calanthe also told Geralt that he's welcome back anytime just as a friend, but then she started tearing up as he went because she had this feeling, this gut-wrenching feeling that it would be the last time they saw each other. And it would.
Oh, damn.
A week later was when Sintra was sacked. Yeah. So it goes back into the reality at this point. Yurga is on the road, the village road to Riverdale, and he's finding a mage. Mage finally gets up to him. Geralt's still delirious, in and out of consciousness, and the woman introduced herself as Vizina. And Geralt got super weird because he knew exactly who this mage was. At first she didn't really... I think she knew, but she didn't want to give credence to any
she had to know.
Of him. Yeah, she had to know, because she was following them for a while, but was saying if she was called upon by the village elders, she would stay. But she definitely rode out to the edge of town when they left. But this woman, Vizina, is actually Geralt's mother.
Oh, yeah.
Geralt woke up and she's trying to say, no, it's just a dream, you're hallucinating, it's just a hallucination, but it was in the reality, and he knew he took the medication and everything. She scolded him for taking opioids to get into an altered mind, saying, you don't have to take, you could have just taken the one coagulant and you would have been fine, you don't have to take all this other poison. Just like getting like a pissed off mom with their kid smoking weed for the first time sort of situation.
Yeah.
But she also had no right to judge him as well.
Right.
He wanted to confront his mother as to why he left her to Vesemir, which Vesemir, when you see Vesemir in the next season, he is the most precious dude. He's a precious cinnamon roll, and he needs to be protected at all costs. Vesemir.
Precious cinnamon roll.
Vesemir is a daddy. He's Papa. He's Papa.
I wouldn't call him a cinnamon roll. I'd call him a buttered biscuit.
Papa's in the house. He's
kind of like the Pillsbury Doughboy in the games, where you just poke him and he goes, woohoo!
Yeah, he's a precious guy, especially with Geralt as his father figure. But he wanted to know why and why he was left. And it was kind of like a child that was adopted and their parent is still alive, and they find their parent and they're asking them, why wasn't I good enough for you to keep me? So he was very, very bitter. But she was pained by it because she wanted to keep him. She didn't want to give him up, but he was a child surprise. Vesemir saved her in some way, didn't say exactly how, but she gave up the child surprise, didn't know she was pregnant when she arrived home, and then realized, oh crap, I am. And she didn't know who the father was, and she's a druidess as well, so the other druidesses would have kicked her out, especially if she had a boy.
Oh, definitely, because with the druidesses and the boys, it's like how the Amazons are if they have boys. The boys are cast out and only the girls are kept because the girls are more powerful than the boys in those two.
And that's why Geralt is able to produce more magic than other witchers with his signs, with like Ard and Yerd and all those signs and everything. Yeah. It's because he has more magical ability inside him.
It definitely makes sense.
He could have been a mage if he was not mutated into a witcher. He definitely could have been.
He could have been, but I don't think he would have gone mage route.
I don't think he would have either, but Mousak saw that power in him. Like, other witchers are not as powerful with their magic.
Right.
as Geralt is, and he can sense things even without his medallion buzzing on his chest.
Right.
He confronted her about it and said, no, you're asleep, it's just a dream, it's just a dream. So the audience that's reading thinks that it's either a hallucination or it's reality, but it was confirmed by Sapkowski that was reality.
That he did meet his mother.
He met his mother, he decided to confront her, she didn't want to be confronted, and he left. Like, he went back into his unconsciousness because he was cast a spell on him to sleep. She cast a spell on him to sleep, and he went into a third hallucination, started talking to Yurga, saying, hey, where did this woman go? And he's like, oh, she followed us to the edge of town, and you're completely healed. You just gotta rest up. Your legs should be back to normal. You're not gonna die from the ghoul bite, so we're just gonna continue taking you to this, my town of Riverdale. Mm-hmm. Not Riverdale. Like Dell laptop. The guy starts talking about the battle for Sodden Hill and how he almost lost his farm. It almost got burnt down with his wife and 2 sons, and that everybody in Riverdale knows the tale of the 14 mages that fell at the Battle of Sodden Hill. So he starts reciting the names, and one of them was Triss's name, and then he just started to go into a disassociated hallucination. They got to Sodden. At this point, he's completely disassociated, and he goes up to the obelisk that has all their names written on the stone. And in doing so, he's still disassociating, he's still hallucinating a bit, but this is also like a reality situation. He's looking at all the names, and he sees the 14th, and he loses his shit. He's trying to run from it, and there's this familiar female presence that catches up to him and taps him on the shoulder, and he turns around and looks her up and down, and it's death. It's the embodiment, like a visage of the embodiment of death, like a Hecate kind of creature guiding people to, if they're gonna die, go to the underworld or go from one plane to another. She's talking to him, and he's greeting her like an old friend and saying, I've noticed you always on my coattails, but I was always too afraid to turn around. She asked him, why did you turn around this time? He came to the realization that he was okay with the last name that was on there, and that last name that perished at Sodden Hill was Yennefer.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So she's telling him, if you're really okay with this, speak her name, and it says Yennefer Vengerberg. And they talk about how destiny is that snake that eats its own tail, and that you can't escape it. It's very cyclical. At this point, he was ready to die. He was Ciri's missing, thinks Yen is completely dead. He doesn't feel like he has anything else to live for. And so he is ready at this point. But she tells him, it's not your time. We'll meet again. At the end, he goes back to Yurga. They end up in Riverdale, and it's like off this encampment, which I'm not entirely sure if it was a hallucination or reality. I think it might have been a hallucination that led him to the crossroads to meet Yurga, because they're still in the car, like in the cart at this point. But what it wasn't really clear with was that they met up at a jetty that was going to cross the river onto a ferry, and here comes Dandelion. And Dandelion was the one that told him that Sintra was sacked, and that Calanthe is dead, and that Ciri is more than likely dead, that none of Calanthe's line survived. So Geralt decided to travel with Dandelion for a bit. And then they ended up parting ways. So I think that part was a hallucination as well, while he was in and out of consciousness, but also disassociated at that point.
Okay.
That would make a lot more sense as to why he went into the crossroads with all the ghouls to die, because that's how witchers go out. They don't take the, as they would put it, the coward's way out. It's still a suicide, but it's a suicide by ghoul for them. So kind of like how with Dragon Age with the Grey Wardens, how they go into the deep roads when they hear the call where it's their time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Geralt wanted to die at that point. Just hunt monsters till his death.
Till he couldn't anymore.
Yeah, CD Projekt Red showed this in one of the endings as well. If you get the bad ending where Ciri does die, he goes back to hunt down the rest of the witches, kills that last witch, grabs the medallion, and lets the ghouls take him.
Ew.
Yeah, it's very visceral.
That's not an ending I'd like.
No, not a really good ending. But it's very similar to that with that story, so I can see where CD Projekt Red got that idea from. That part was very ambiguous. We don't know if it's real or not, because he's still with Yurga at this point. He didn't go traveling with Dandelion. Mm-hmm. So it goes back into the last part, and this is the reality. Yurga is at his home, and his wife comes out, and is like, "Oh my god, you're alive!" And he's like, "Yeah, this Witcher saved me, and I owe him a child surprise and the law of surprise, so it might be like a bump of crop," and that's what Geralt thought it was, because they live in a farm.
Right.
His wife was like, "Oh no, honey, we got a daughter now," and he's like, "Wait, what? You're pregnant?" No, she found a girl off the crossroads, and she was dirty and hungry and stealing things and eating food, and her boys were taking to her as like a friend. Mm-hmm. And she was with them for at least a week at this point, because Sintra was sacked like a week ago while they're traveling,
right?
Because it goes really, really slow by horse and buggy.
Well, of course. But
the boys and the girl were coming back from the fields where they were playing at. And she was like, "Can we keep her?" and everything. And it's an orphan girl. And
can we keep her? Yeah. It sounds like they're wanting to keep a dog.
She always wanted a daughter, but she was never blessed with a girl. Was the reason.
I know, but can we keep her?
Yeah.
I'm like, Ciri's not a dog.
No, she's not a dog. But Geralt gets off of there, and he spots this little mousy hair girl, and she spots him in the distance, and she stops, takes a deep look, screams Geralt, and Geralt just like starts sobbing and runs to her.
Aww.
And she runs to him, and he collapses and just like holds on tight and does not let go for anything.
Aww.
And
Papa Geralt.
She's sobbing, and she says, and I quote, "It's like they said, Geralt, it's like they said, am I your destiny? Say it, am I your destiny?" To which Geralt says, "You're more than that, Ciri, much more."
Aww.
That was the end of the short stories.
That makes you kind of want to cry in a way.
It does. And that's why I'm like, Brokilon broke me, because that moment there at the end would have been much more powerful if they had Ciri, like baby Ciri and Geralt meeting in Brokilon.
At the end of the season?
No, like in one of the flashbacks thing when Ciri's like really little and such, and she's with the whole Brokilon story, instead of her going like wandering into Brokilon Forest with Dara and saying, "Oh, this is," and
leaving with the fake mouse sack.
Yeah, leaving with the fake mouse sack. That part does not make sense, because like that Brokilon story was like the central basis for everything that was going to happen with Ciri, that makes you more invested into this. And oh, god damn, it just pisses me off, man. It's terrible, because that ending that Ciri is like, "Who's Yennefer? Oh, I finally know what Geralt looks like because I had a dream about her." Like, that makes no freaking sense. Like, you see them, They're adorable. He's like, oh my god, I can't believe you're here. This is
You're
Siri.
alive?
You're alive. What the hell? But he looks more like a bewildered dad, like, wait, I'm your father? No, instead of like how it was in the book. Because like the book, obviously they're going to have different liberties and adaptation is adaptation, but
Right.
it would have been much more powerful if instead of that awe moment to like a finality, the season finale of Geralt just breaking down, because he's been stoic the entire time and all he talks is in grunts and fuck.
Yeah.
So like him breaking down, him sobbing and just like collapsing in her arms, that would have been a hell of a lot more powerful if they had the Brooklyn story told the freaking right way. Brooklyn broke me.
Oh my gosh. I knew you were gonna start with that.
I had to.
I knew it.
I had to. So, we're going to go into episodes 7 and 8. They're completely retold, and some parts are fabricated for sensationalism for adaptation. Mm-hmm. So, the first part in episode 7 was the meeting with Calanthe and Ciri when Geralt got to Sintra.
Yeah, that was a little weird for me, because you even said in the books during that time, Geralt wasn't in Sintra. But then in the show, he's in Sintra.
During sacking. Like
he's there during the whole Nilfgaard taking over, which made no sense from what you were telling me in the books. What's going on?
Okay, but what was your reaction, not from what I was telling you, but your personal reaction?
I mean, I kind of liked that they had that in there in some aspect. Like, they changed it a little to that in some aspect, especially when Ciri's playing Knucklebones and she looks over because she feels somebody watching her, like, staring at her. Mm. And you actually see that it was Geralt who looked at her when Calanthe's trying to pull a fast one on him. Like, you're not taking my grandchild. She's all I have of Pavetta. That's not what Geralt was there for to begin with. No. And you automatically assume that's what he's trying to do.
I did like that it was showing that cyclicalness with the I forget what they call it, with the snake eating its own tail. But like the beginning was the end.
Okay, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's spelt Ouroboros.
Ouroboros?
I'm thinking.
Ouroboros? Something like that. It's the snake eating its own tail, where the beginning was the end. I appreciated that.
Right. Yeah, they have it with the dragon as well, and also with the snake.
It's a lot of different folklores. And it's not just like Nordic or Greek or...
Right.
Or,
it's the same thing. It just depends on where you are in the world, whether it's a snake or if it's a dragon. But yeah, I kind of see what you mean there with that. Like, how you like where it's the beginning meets the end.
Yeah, where everybody's dying and such, and it just adds what Mousak was actually saying to Calanthe during her time with finding Geralt, because Geralt was locked up, and Mousak didn't know. Mousak thought that that he was let go. Yeah.
And as she's dying, I couldn't let him go. What?
She was a little bit more bitchy in that. Like, I can understand where she came from.
I think they made her a little more cuckoo in the show than they did in the books with certain things.
In the book, she was known for her smile, her smile that you can never tell what she was really thinking.
Right.
But in this, like, she's always on the verge of tears for some reason.
Always on the verge of tears, about to yell at somebody, or about to tell somebody to go fuck off.
Yeah, she leads with emotion, mostly. Then we did go into the outskirts of Nilfgaard. I think they were in Nazir. I think it's Nazir?
I don't know.
It's one of the towns off of Zerrikania. Close to Zerrikania. It's in Zerrikania. Zerrikania is like a continent, not a like a country. And I'm thinking Nazir is from Elder Scrolls. It might be also in this. I'm not 100%. I'd have to go back in the episode. But Yen goes there just to see Istrid again, which is alluding to the
Shard of Ice story.
Yeah, the Shard of Ice story with one of their, we're meeting up again, and then saying bye again.
One of their rendezvous.
Yeah. But that's when Yenna meets Vilgefortz for the first time. And decides to go back to Aretuza.
Because apparently he said that Tissaia asked for her to come back.
She didn't ask for nothing with Yenna.
Vilgefortz is a fucking liar.
Yeah, that should have been like one of the first red flags for people. I know what's going to happen. I don't want to spoil for what's going to happen in the show with Vilgefortz. Because a lot of people are speculating as well what's going to happen. Don't trust Vilgefortz.
No, do not trust him at all.
When we'll talk about it in episode 8, but how he's like so confident and dominating and such. Just don't trust Vilgefortz.
No.
What did you think of the end when Ciri is going into her own power and killing all those kids?
That one was insane, but 2, so much like her mother.
It was showcasing the child of the Elder Blood. We don't know much about the Elder Blood in the show just yet. She started prophesizing. That's something that happens in the books, that she goes into trances and prophesizes. But it's not wind blowing everywhere and people dying and such. At that point, she just couldn't control her power, and that it was very much so like a Pavetta.
Which that did happen to Pavetta with Dooney.
Yeah, she was prophesizing at one point, but you couldn't really hear it because she was speaking in Elder Speak.
Correct.
But I believe she was also talking the Islane's prophecy.
Right. And with Ciri, they had it in English for us to understand what the Elder Speak was, so to speak.
Yeah. I don't want to give you too many spoilers with that either, but the prophecy is, "Verily I say unto you, the era of the sword and the axe is nigh, the era of the wolf's blizzard, the time of the white chill and the white light is nigh, the time of madness and the time of contempt, Tedreath, the time of end." So this is something that was used in a lot of shows, movies, books, God of War, different lores, Norse mythology. Game of Thrones also used that, so that's why a lot of people are comparing it to Game of Thrones. But definitely do not take that prophecy with a grain of salt. Take that as fact, because that is going to happen. That is Ithlane's prophecy. That will happen. Right. It's pretty much telling the time of the Witcher version of Ragnarok.
Yeah. I agree with that. So, what about Yen going back to Aretuza in episode 7? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you like her teaching the girls that you can mix herbs? They just don't want you to because they don't want you to become powerful. Hard to describe.
Yeah, that one's hard to describe because I enjoy that because it's showing how callous and domineering that Yennefer is. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like, she wasn't that against girls being paid their way into Aretuza. Like, the best of the best would be sold into it. Her parents sold her to Tissaia as well. They didn't take her off for money or anything in the books that we know of. She was paid to be taken off of their hands. And that's what most of the wizards and witches are as well. With her, with seeing that a lot of them didn't have any magical talent and they were just taking money just to take money. It's like, my have the mighty have fallen, and how glad I am to get out of here and to do my own thing and do my own, pave my own way. What were your thoughts?
See,
getting the girls high is shit as well.
Getting the girls high, that was funny. She's like, you can mix the herbs, and if you mix these herbs with these herbs, you get this effect. And she's telling them that when she was there before she had her grand transformation, that you're pretty much treated like you're nothing. And once you get your power, that's when it's, oh, you actually can do this. Let's see what you can do. Instead of, all, you can't do this. You're just nothing. You're absolutely nothing. You can't even make a rock lift up.
All right, let's go into episode 8.
Yes.
That's where we see from the short story with Geralt ending up in the crossroads after he finds Calanthe dead in the last episode. Kind of thinking that Ciri's also dead, so it doesn't really matter. So he's going into those crossroads to die.
Right.
We also have the battle for Sodden Hill. We'll get into our theories as to why Vilgefortz lost to Cahir and killed one of his own mages. Triss's injuries as well, and then Geralt's hallucinations seeing his mom into the reunion. Starting off, since it's pretty much like given as to Geralt going into the crossroads to die.
Right.
And finding Mr. Yurga, helping him out, getting bit and everything, that's pretty much like self-explanatory.
Right.
So with the battle for Sodden Hill, because it did not happen in the book, what did you think of that big battle?
I thought it was really good because it showed an interpretation of what happened. Because, like you said, in the books, it didn't show any of that. It just kind of alluded to what happened. I like that the show actually visually showed what the battle pretty much could have been like in the book.
That I know of. Cahir may or may not have been there. I thought it was Menamarco that was there at the Battle of Sodden Hill and survived. There was also Fringilla Vigo was also in there, but she wasn't in the, like, it wasn't told that she was in the books that she was there. She was still studying in Nilfgaard at that time. She was actually in Toussaint with her cousin. That was pretty interesting, but with how they adapted everything to have like some sort of villain, with Cahir coming to their aid in the battle for Sodden, but they end up losing because they push him back, and that's like one of the big rally points that everybody's like, remember Sodden when we fought those usurpers back.
Right.
They were fighting with that. Yen was being nice to some ladies, and that lady gets killed, and
oh no,
they decide to like show Dimeridium in powder form, even though they showed it in handcuffs before with Yennefer, where she's like, take me away, a couple episodes before. But they had that massive fight. Oh my god, I saw some of the behind the scenes features with Anya and the girl that plays Sabrina. When Sabrina gets taken over by the worm. Fringilla's worm that goes in her ear. They literally threw them off of a 3-story tower they built.
What?
Yeah. When they were being blown up in a specific way, and they were thrown off the tower, they had a giant crane with both of them, hooked them both up to harnesses, and dropped them about 10 feet. They were about 10 feet off the ground by the time that they dropped from that 30-foot drop.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Me and my stomach, that would not mix. Like, I can't even do roller coasters.
I wonder, because they're stationary at that point. They have something attached to them, so they have that sensation of falling.
I can't.
I don't think that part of that acting was fake, because in some instances you have to, in some instances with that, if you're jumping out of a plane or something, you don't have the sensation of falling because you don't have something tangible attached to the ground that gives you that gravity feeling. Instead, you have this feeling of weightlessness, like you're in a isolation tube or something, like an isolation chamber. But with this, they're attached to harnesses, so doing that sequence over and over over, it must have felt like you're on a roller coaster for 20 hours or something, even though it was a 3-hour shoot to get
thank you.
4 or 5 takes of their fall.
I'll keep my feet firmly planted on the ground, thank you.
Yeah, so that was something that was really cool that there was a lot of behind the scenes. Anyway, there was also, we'll get back into the battle for Sodden Hill here in a second. Geralt's hallucination with seeing his mom and it going to Renfrey and then Yen and then...
I didn't get the Renfrey part. I understand it with how they have the chemistry in the show for him and Renfrey, but the hallucination with Renfrey, then Yennefer, and then his mother, I didn't get that. I would have thought that it was just going to be with Yen and then him finding out that it's actually his mom.
For that, I think they had it for Renfrey because it was just a callback to the first episode where he was put on this journey where it's not like a Witcher's being mutual, like being neutral with the journey, where he decided to take a stand and kill the lesser evil when he doesn't believe in any lesser evil. So right. I can see that. But in the books, it was just shown with the Butcher Blaviken story that it was just the one, and he never really thought of it again, but everybody called him the Butcher of Blaviken, so that part just followed him. But he never saw Renfrey again. He was always, if he ever was hallucinating, it was always Yen. He was always seeing Yen. It was nothing but Yen. But it definitely was real that he saw his mother. When he was on Yurga's card, going back and forth and such, he was
having flashbacks.
Yeah, having flashbacks to his childhood, with bringing up with Vesemir, how they're starting to introduce Vesemir into the equation on how Geralt came to be a Witcher.
Voiced by Theo James. Young Vesemir. Young Vesemir was voiced by Theo James. He is a great actor.
It was also his shadow too.
Yeah.
It wasn't just voiced. It wasn't just some disembodied voice. It was his presence on set and such.
Right.
But playing young Vesemir.
Yes.
But we're gonna get to see Papa Vesemir when he's older because they casted him.
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
A lot of people wanted it to be Mark Hamill, but Mark Hamill was busy.
Yes.
He's busy with Masters of the Universe, which is a He-Man story.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah, but anyway, he confronts his mom and he thinks it's a hallucination. And a lot of people think it's a hallucination, but that was definitely reality.
Well, because she kept telling him, you're dreaming, it's just a dream. And he's like, this is not a dream. Look at my eyes. How do you like my eyes?
Yeah, him just trying to ask his mom, like, why did you give me up, man? What was wrong with me that you wanted to...
Did you know that they were going to do this to me when you left me on his doorstep?
Yeah. But it cuts back after he has that moment.
Right.
Which I appreciate that they had that moment of where he came from, because that would be easy to gloss over.
Yeah.
Because it was just a very short part of the story that was barely even noted. But it definitely helps with getting Papa Vesemir introduced for the next season.
I agree.
Like, get you hyped to see Papa Vesemir.
I agree.
But back in the Battle of Sodden, Vilgefortz is fighting Cahir. How the hell did Vilgefortz survive? Like, how did Cahir survive?
I have a lot to say about Vilgefortz. You stupid ass!
Yeah, dum-dum.
Oh my god. At first, you want to like him. When you first meet him, you want to like him. But then in episode 8, you see him for who he truly is. Yeah. Out for himself. I fucking hate that.
Yeah, he kills his own mage.
Yeah. He like picks up a mace and he smacks him over the head and then does it again until he's dead.
Vilgefortz is one that you definitely want to hate, especially if you are a book reader. He, not giving away too many stories, like too many spoilers with that, but he is pretty much the mage equivalency to, in Game of Thrones, a Ramsay.
Oof.
A Bolton Ramsay, yeah.
No.
Yeah, Bolton Ramsay is like more so a loathsome little shit than Joffrey.
Yeah, nope.
Vilgefortz is a Bolton Ramsay.
We don't need any more of those.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
So that's the only kind of spoiler, non-spoiler. Just keep your eye out for Vilgefortz. But like, why did you think, not being a non-book reader, why did you think he did not listen to Yen with reserving his chaos and continued fighting?
He wanted to make it look real. He wanted to make it look like he was fighting for the chapter when he wasn't. He wanted everybody to believe him so that way he probably could eventually take all the power he could for himself.
So when you're saying taking all the power, what do you mean? Are you saying like aligning himself with somebody or just out for himself?
Out for himself to become the top dog.
Okay. So we'll see.
I hate that about him.
We'll see on that.
Oof.
I already know. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I already know. And then also with Triss as well, with her injuries.
Yes, they didn't play them as bad as you said that they were in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Like, her injuries was she just got burnt on her chest, and part of her clothes were singed.
Yeah.
But not like 90% of her body engulfed in flames and her hair completely gone.
See, there was a reason why she was one of the names of the Fallen on Sodden Hill when she's still in the book series.
Right.
Triss was mistaken for another witch that had
the same
similar hair color as
and similar features.
But in this, Triss would always have like a cut in her dress all the way down to her navel. That's what she was mostly known for that, and for her vibrant chestnut hair. Her chestnut hair, not fire engine red hair. Her chestnut. But
Again,
she pretty much
chestnut hair.
She pretty much got Anakin Skywalkered in episode 3 with all of her hair being burnt to a crisp. Didn't have her arms and legs cut off, but she was completely burnt to a crisp, where people thought that this other mage was her and that she was just one of the unlucky survivors, intensive care unit, burn victim. That's what they thought that she was. And that's how she survived. And that's the same with Yenna. Like, if you've read the books and you know that you've seen the IMDb that Anya is going to be in the next season.
Oh, yeah.
How she let her chaos explode.
And turns into, like, a dragon force without an actual dragon by this immense firepower coming from her.
Oh, yeah.
That was a powerful scene.
Oh, yeah. That's my Yenna. That's my Yenna. She's absolutely terrifying, and that's why I love Yenna.
Yes. Yes, you do.
Yeah,
I mean, you got a freaking figure of her, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
And you keep looking at her like, my waifu.
She's my waifu. she's definitely waifu. She'll murder me, but I will be like, thank you, madam.
Can we get the ugly rope dress out of the way?
Okay, ugly rope dress.
What the hell were they thinking?
I mean, you gotta have something ugly to combat the ugly of the scrotum armor when they were fighting with Nilfgaard.
Like, are they trying to signify that the rope is like armor for Yen on her dress? Because if that's the case, it don't work. It could have just been a bunch of leather.
See, that's something with like the art department, with the costume on the art department. I know the costume designers are beefing it up and doing a lot better. Yeah, the screen test did not work. They just did a screen test for Geralt, and they did not screen test for anybody else with costumes. Some of the costumes are absolutely stunning.
Yeah, some of them really are. Like Triss's costumes throughout the series that you actually see her in, I love them. They're gorgeous.
But you really hate that rope dress.
I do. It is but ugly.
It is.
Like, I don't know which costume of Yen's I hate worse. The dress or the freaking straps on her shoulders from when you first meet her with Geralt and Jaskier.
Oh, yeah, where the straps that go up to her collar.
Yeah, I don't know which one I hate more.
They did not really put her in a flattering dress. Some people might actually like it. That's subjective, but, like, it's definitely not Yenna.
You need something that is going to, 1, represent your characters well, and 2, going to come off on screen as if it's, like, perfect.
Right.
But that one wasn't. I'm sorry. So, reunion time.
I know I already touched base with it.
Yes, you did.
It's not as powerful as it would have been if Ciri was not met Geralt in Brooklyn Forest.
I agree. But I do like how she goes off in the forest and the woman comes out and starts talking about her to her husband, and Geralt's like, wait, what?
The girl in the forest will be with you forever.
And then he goes off in the forest and he's turning around, but then he stops, turns back around, sees her running to him. The whole, "You're Geralt, I saw you in a dream" face. I know, you're my destiny, and then runs to hug him. It could have been done better, but for what they did for season 1, I think it was okay.
It gave you a soft moment for Geralt,
Yeah.
definitely, where it's like, oh, this is cute. But that oh shit with the, who's Yennefer?
Yeah, and he looks at her like,
How do you know that name? How do you know that name?
the whole confusion face.
Yeah. Why did you say that name? Oh, Batman versus Superman there. Okay.
His mother's name is Martha.
His wife's name is Yenna. Yeah. I'm still, that one, it still is like, Brokilon broke me.
I get that, but with how they did with the show, do you think they did an okay job?
It was fair enough.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That
Though
works.
I do have to say the end soundtrack, though. Whew.
Yes.
Whew.
Oh,
The
love it.
music all throughout this, it's not just Jaskier's songs, but like the music throughout all of that, especially
Yeah.
the White Wolf song at the end. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's definitely on par with the CD Projekt Red's soundtrack that they have. Because if you got the special edition with The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, they give you the CD as well for the soundtrack.
Right.
And that soundtrack is just so freaking good, man.
I agree. It's like one of those, you just feel like popping it in and just listening to it, and it takes you back to ancient, medieval, mythical times.
See, when we were on the road to a couple years ago when our cousin Jen got married, we were on the road through the Appalachian Mountains during this time.
Yeah, you would play that.
On it wasn't just The Witcher. It was I put on
The Witcher music. You also did Elder Scrolls music as
It was
well.
Elder Scrolls. It was Dragon Age Intuition soundtrack. And then when the Elder
Inquisition.
Scroll, like not the Elder Scrolls, when the Witcher soundtrack hit, and we're like just going through beautiful mountains, and there's giant drop off on the side. It's just like, oh my god, what is life?
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Like if we weren't
It was
asleep on
hitting
the road, we were
sunset
just
as well during that time.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking, like, looking back now with that White Wolf song where it's sunset and driving through mountain range at that time.
oh my gosh, perfect.
Just nothing but trees
Mwah,
everywhere,
perfect.
and just it would be just it would be one that would definitely make you feel all the feels if you crank it up really well, have nice speakers in your headset that have a full surround sound system, bass
Oh my gosh.
boosted, not completely bass boosted, but like mixed completely perfectly, and then playing the White Wolf song.
Well, even if you live in the woods.
yeah.
If you live in the woods and you crank that up as loud as you can.
when dawn breaks, listening to it
When dawn breaks, or even when the sun is setting.
No, not at sunset, but like when dawn is breaking, listening to the White Wolf song, just oof, that will be perfect. If you're sleep deprived, and so you'll be sobbing. It's that freaking good. But speaking of music and such, I know we're wrapping it up, coming to a close, but if you are dying for more Witcher content, just more of the show, Joey Beatty, Mr. Dandelion, Mr. Jaskier himself.
What did he do now?
For the people in COVID-19, he had released 2 things. One was from The Witcher itself. He's reading his first appearance in The Last Wish. I can't say that.
You get tongue-tied easily.
I do. Witch and wish. It's the Scottish in me.
Yep.
My mouth is set up for Scottish. But Joey was reading with Geralt meeting Nenneker, and I hate how he kept saying Nenike.
Oh, yeah. So it's just like what Netflix had Henry Cavill do, where he read a section of The Last Wish. Joey did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And even I just watching that, and I'm like, no, that's Nenneker.
It's because it's very Polish of
Yes.
a name. And Polish is very close to German.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can read it as Nenneker in the Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. It even says Nenica. Even in the Vitsum story, the Hexer in English, it says Nenica. Besides that point, that was the only thing that annoyed me a little bit with that. He'll say whatever he wants to say. It's all good. But
True.
The Witcher gave us that little tidbit, so you can have a little more from The Last Wish. And then Joey also started a YouTube channel.
No, he didn't.
He did.
Are you kidding? What?
It's either with his sister or girlfriend or someone that he lives with, or wife, I'm not sure.
Or roommate.
Roommate, just some sort of female relation, presumably female, if don't mean to misgender if she's not.
True.
But it is with the Great Witcher Bake Off, is what he called it. It's a comedy, it's an elaborate comedy sketch.
The Great Witcher Bake Off?
Yes. It's like 6 minutes long, and it's definitely worth all of it.
Oh,
He's
my
in his
gosh.
apartment trying to bake a cake and can't bake the cake, so he goes out and buys a cake.
No!
And he's like, I baked this. It's for the Great Witcher Bake Off. And then he's like, I don't even like cake at the end. It's just so freaking funny. So if you're missing out on some Witcher content and you want something from the cast and crew, Joey's got you covered with his COVID-19 blues. Not being able to shoot right now, so he shoots from home doing little skits, and that was his first skit.
There you go.
So there you have it. That is going to wrap it up for us on the Witcher series. Holly, I'm going to give you two options.
Okay.
For the last two episodes. Just combine them.
Yes.
For the last two episodes, out of 10 Witcher medallions, what would you give the last two episodes?
Out of 10 Witcher medallions?
Yes.
Combined, a 9.
A 9?
Yeah.
All right. And then for the entire first season?
9.5. On whatever you were going to say, 10 out of 10, whatever, it's a 9.5.
It's a 9.5 for you?
Yeah. What about you?
Okay, for the last two episodes, I really like how they showed Sodden. Especially because it wasn't really shown in the books.
Right.
But with Brooklyn, it's still... So I will have to... Because of Sodden, that redeemed it a lot for that. I will give it an 8.
Okay.
For both episodes.
And what about the entire series?
Entire series, I will give it about an 8.5.
Okay.
Yeah. It would be a 10 if they did Brooklyn perfectly. But they didn't. It makes no sense.
I think it also would have been a 10 if costuming was better.
Yeah.
I mean, they did
at
what
least they're gonna fix the Nilfgaardian scrotum armor, and they're gonna fix with the timeline issue that people had as well.
And at least, they did what they could for the time that they had to film, budget that they had to film with.
The acting was superb.
Yes.
The lighting, the locations were superb.
Oh, definitely.
The choice of the actors, superb. Just everything about it was...
Don't get us wrong. With us finding the flaws, but also finding the good, that's our job as a viewer.
Yeah.
To find what we like and what we hate. And if it gets to the crew for The Witcher about, hey, this is something that we can work on or something, that's what we would love to have happen. But who knows?
All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for our Witcher series. Next week, we got a review about a new indie game that has been out for about a year now.
2018 was when it came out. So
about 2 years now.
Roughly about 2 years.
Improving upon for the Redwall, the Scout game.
Yes.
We got that coming for you next week. We got a little bit more on different animes, what games we're playing as well during this COVID-19. What's the best games that we found?
What's the best shows to watch, movies to binge?
Yeah.
Even for some of them cream puffs out there.
Some of them cream puffs. We'll have to get Chris on that. Chris with a Y.
Oh, yes.
The non-binosaur of Dorkosaurs. We will definitely have to get Chris on for that.
Especially for the cream puff army.
Because they can talk their asses off. about cream puffs.
Oh my gosh. It's kind of hard to get them to shut up about cream puffs.
We'll probably do like a Witcher series that we did with this.
Yeah.
For reading the original novella from Joseph Sheridan Le Fanu and seeing how Steffo Ockneen and Mel Windle took this piece and combined it into a modern day
web
series sponsored by You by Kotex, and it was turned into lesbian vampires with tampons.
Period products in general.
You can't make this shit up. But we'll definitely have to get Chris on that. But we'll probably do a series like we did with The Witcher for each season as well.
Yeah. And possibly the movie.
Yeah, and the movie as well. So that'll be like a 5-episode take or something.
All right.
But anyway, that will be for us today.
And as always, if you have any other suggestions or any topics you want us to discuss, always leave us comments below. You can always message us on our social medias as well.
Yeah, we are up to suggestions. We want to hear what you guys want to hear about. And we will review it. We'll have our hot take on it.
Yeah.
And probably try not to be as long as we typically are, because we are very long-winded.
Well, yes, we can get very long-winded. But
I can get very long-winded, mostly.
You more so than me. So yes, that is truth.
Yeah, we'll also get the shy, constructive Holly into speaking up a little bit more as well.
Hey, I'm trying.
She's trying. She's coming out of her shell. She's coming out of a cage and she's been doing just fine. Gotta put down because I want to go.
In case you're wondering, that was a face palm.
Yeah.
I do that a lot with her.
Yeah.
All right. But anywho, like we said before, any suggestions or topics, comments below. Can always message us on our social medias. And in the immortal words of Christina, and Satan,
Cthulhu.
And we'll see you next time.
And bye! Toss a coin to your witcher. Oh, valley of plenty. Oh, valley of plenty. Oh, oh, oh. Fishmonger's order. Bye-bye. Fishmonger's order. Bye-bye.